In this video, we're going to go over how to change construction values. And this is super, super important. It's something that you can do before you start drawing. And then there's another aspect that you can do after you've drawn your house out. So if you're going to set your construction values before you start drawing, which I always recommend heavily that you do, you're going to use the Wrightsoft construction number bar. If you don't see this, you can have it brought up by going to View and then making sure that there's a check mark, clicking on it at Default Construction Number Bar. And again, if I click on it, it's going to disappear, but I can go ahead and put that check mark, click on it, and it pops right back up again. And there's several different sections of this that are super important. You can either go to the library building materials. You can see here, I've created my own. I have a kind of like a code that stands for different type of construction values that I work with across the country. But Wrightsoft has their own. So you can use one of Wrightsoft's and go all the way through their list and find one that Wrightsoft has that closely matches what you do. Or you can make your own. You can click on that ... there, and then you can go through and make your own. Now, going through and making a library, that's going to be more in the intermediate classes. This one's just going to be basic, just to review over what is inside this area and what makes it important. So we're not going to be going over that right now. So the part that we are going to review over is what this actually means and what all these little details are all about. So if we look at the attic, ceiling, asphalt, we click on that information right there, it will take us to the ceiling, and you can see as well, it has that where it points directly at the ceiling. We have another one that points at the floor, wall, a window, and a door. And so those correspond directly to those areas that we're going to be describing as detailed as possible. So we have different selections that we can choose: flat roof, slope roof, ceiling under attic, ceiling partition, and layers. Then we can go a little bit more complex and go to custom layers, which I don't recommend unless you've been using Wrightsoft for a long time and you understand this very, very, very well. This is an area that can get you into trouble. But an area that's popular sometimes is the custom values. So here you might have to jump in and put your own custom values in and also have your own custom description. That way it more accurately depicts what you're looking at and what it's about. If nothing else, say you might have something that's close, but it's not close enough, then you can come on here and then you can make it exactly what you're looking for construction components. That way, when you print out your construction component form, it will match exactly. And when you turn that into your local building authority, they will see that you have actually done the heat load exactly the way that building is done. So on here, you can change your description. On this custom one, you can also change your U values, your cooling CLTD group, your configuration, and also your insulation value and the truss material. And then you can check mark if it's going to have a radiant barrier or not. So one thing to understand, and I'm not going to go into hardcore detail, but the hardcore detail about it will be in the intermediate classes, is how do you find a U value if you don't have it and you only have an R value? Well, the R value and the U value actually have a mathematical relationship. And now all of a sudden, it seems like it's going to be really, really difficult. It's not. Take it on face value. And if you want to, once I get done describing it, pause it, rewind it, listen to it again. But if you want to go more in depth onto reciprocals, then in the intermediate classes, there's going to be a whole class just on reciprocals. All right, so the relationship, they are reciprocals. And what that means is we got to put things in a fraction form, and then we can divide things out. We're going to use, in a fraction, we have that little divider bar. That's going to be our divided by bar. So the fraction for 30 is 30 over 1. All right, so if we take a reciprocal, we're going to flip those two numbers, and now it's going to be 1 over 30. So to find our U value, it's going to be 1 divided by 30. That will give you a really small number that you can punch right into there. And that is your U value. All right, so let's jump on to the next one. We can also put in our floors. And in our floors, I'm going to go back to radio buttons. And we can put in exterior floor, floor partition, on or below grade, layers. And again, we have those same things where we can jump in and we can put custom floors in. You're going to notice that all all of these share a lot of similarities that, of course, the floor ain't going to be able to be described the same way as a ceiling, but there's going to be similarities between the screens when you interact and go through the different screens. All right, so our windows, you have the choice of single, double, triple, block, and skylight. And again, the same thing. We can do custom windows. There's our walls. We can do frame, masonry, curtain, miscellaneous, below grade, knee wall, layers. And then we got the same thing where we can do the layers that way and also custom values. And then we also have a door. And we can choose what our doors are. All right, so the orientation and the load preferences we're not going to get into right now. The more constructions, we can look at that. The orientation and load preferences are going to be separate classes. But here we can actually set up what our partition wall is going to be. If we have multiple floors, what our partition ceiling and partition floor is going to be. We can also set up our vaulted ceiling and our skylights. And we can have interior walls, if we're going to have like split areas that are going to be completely separate temperatures, then we need to set up our interior walls for those areas that are going to be completely separate temperatures. Just to go a little bit more in depth than that, that might be where you have a unit for one area and a unit for another. And one's going to be kept at primarily 80 degrees. The other one's going to be kept primarily at 70 degrees. So therefore, that wall should have insulation in it. So that way we don't have any type of heat loss or heat gain through that wall whatsoever. And that will take care of that. All right, so once all that is set, then we can go ahead and begin drawing our house. Remember, that part gets done first, then we draw our house. Now, the other way that we can go over and set our construction values is when we already have a room drawn. So say I've drawn this room according to these construction values, and I go, oh no, I need to completely change this room. It's not that whatsoever. I made some type of mistake, or this room may be different than other rooms that I've already drawn, but it has completely separate construction values than the others. You're going to find that in additions. You're also going to find, in homes that, they just added little additions on at a time over time. And so each time they may have done it to new construction codes. And so you may actually have a ceiling in one area at R11, ceiling in another area R19, and a new ceiling going in another edition R30. So you could run into a situation where you need to set 3 different insulation types. So for this one, we're going to right-click on the property sheet, and then you can click on wall, ceiling, or floor. And if you click on that top line where it shows the type, it's going to bring you right back to the screen of showing exactly what we showed up here in our construction values. And then anything that you set for this will directly change only this room. If you have multiple rooms highlighted, it will change for only those rooms that are highlighted. It will not change all of them, or all the rest that are not highlighted. Or when I say highlighted, have those green grips all around the room. That shows that room is selected. When you select other rooms, it will be more of a teal or bluish color grip all around the edges. All right, that is it for the construction values. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a great day.